Okay, so hello and welcome to this video. Today we'll talk about the MPC Sample and the fat pads from MPC Stuff. So I got the fat pads from MPC Stuff yesterday and I had a bit of trouble installing them. It was not too hard, but there was a few stuff I needed to figure out. And I talked about it with a friend of mine, and he stumbled upon the same problems trying to repair his MPC Sample. So we thought it would be a good idea to make a video about it because there's not much documentation. So let's get into it. So for this, you will need a Phillips head 2 screwdriver. I'm also using a hex one, but that's because I've got some custom knobs already installed. And you will need some of these little tools, and that's about it. So I'll start by removing the knobs. Oh, also you need a pair of pliers that I'm gonna go get right now. So if you're running the stock knobs from the MPC, you might want to use some rubber gloves to help you remove them. It might help. Mine are all using screws, so these ones are easier to remove. The hard part was to remove the stock ones when I installed those. So I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly remove the knobs. There we go. And the last one for me is using a flat screwdriver, but once again, if you need to use some rubber gloves and try and maybe one of these to pry off and pull the stock buttons. So next thing you want to do, I'm gonna set this to the side. Next thing you want to do before you remove is remove the feather cap and also remove this little nut and the washer that goes with it, so it doesn't block you later on in the install. So obviously my pads are already installed, but it's the same with the stock ones, it doesn't change much. And very important, you want to remove the SD card before you continue with the installation. So I'm gonna set mine aside. So there we go. Now that you've removed all the knobs and the nuts, you can turn around your MPC and switch to a Phillips head. Well, you don't need to switch if you have the normal knobs because those don't use screws. So there's 5 screws to remove in the back. Pretty standard Phillips head, nothing fancy. There's no hidden screws in there or whatever. So I'm just gonna remove those first. And I'm just gonna have them drop like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Set those aside. Then what you want to do is this is all clipped all around, so you're gonna want to start from the bottom with a little tool like this or something similar. Try not to break it. So yeah, start from one corner maybe and work your way around it, trying to pry off the back plate from the MPC. And you'll see in a second why I started from the bottom and not the top. So there's little locks all around it, and these ones are set to this side, towards the outside, and the ones from the tops are in the other way. So I found it was easier to open it this way. So try and be gentle, but don't be afraid to pull a little bit to unset the back cover. There we go. So it's all unclipped now, and you can see these clips from the bottom and the sides are facing the outside, and these ones are a bit different. So that's why I started from the bottom. So I'm gonna set this aside. First thing you want to do from there is remove the battery so you don't have any current running in the circuit even though it's turned off, and then actually remove the battery from the MPC. So these nuts on the inside, they are all the same, so you can just set them on the side and don't really worry about mixing them up because it's just one kind. It's a different kind for the back cover. So first thing you want to do is remove the battery like this. It's quite easy to come out. Makes you think it would actually be nice in the future if some brands release an update, because as you can see, there's quite a lot of space in between. Maybe it's for protection of the circuit. It makes you wish we could have maybe larger batteries in the future to be able to replace those. So I'm gonna set this on the side. Now, the fun part begins. So the actual problem I had and my friend had was to remove this cable that's right there and goes under. So we're not gonna get there yet, but we're gonna prep the rest. So you can start by removing the clips from the speaker. So this is the speaker wire. It comes out quite easily. Don't pull too hard and it should just come. And then you can lift this little, I don't know how they call them, a tap. Oh no, actually you pull on it. So this while you pull on it, you can either pull on this side or lift this one up. This one lifts up and this one is a puller. Actually, I'm gonna remove it from this side and leave it in here. So yeah, or maybe the opposite. Let's see. Because I did have a bit of trouble putting it back on the first time. So I think it's whatever works with you, because both work. It depends on like how you wanna, if you want a lot of stuff from this side or this side. Anyways, so this one is a puller one as well. So I'm gonna remove this one. Oh, and you might need, let me get, you might need a pair of tweezers. So I'm not gonna use these ones because they're a bit sharp, and I'd rather use these ones that you can bend a bit and help you remove some of the cables. So once you remove these two cables, you can start and remove all these screws. I'm not gonna touch those screws. I think those are the cover for the CPU, looks like. I'm not quite sure, but if I had to guess. So all the screws that are marked around here, and you can easily find where they go later because they're all marked with a little screw icon on the side. So you're not going to mistake, for example, this slot, which is for the back cover screws. So yeah, I'm just going to remove all these screws, set them on the side. I sort them apart, but you don't really need to, because as I said, these are the same as these. So okay, so I think that's all the screws removed. Oh no, there's one left. So once you've done this, it's actually here the hard part of the repair or install. You're gonna pull off. Oh no! Also, I forgot. You may need. Oh, it fell off. You need to remove this little cap cover from behind for the volume gain. It will be easier to remove the main board. So this is the main board with the PCB. You're gonna pull slightly it, but don't pull too hard, because there is one little ribbon cable coming down under there. So I hope you can see from here. Yeah. So this is the ribbon cable that's holding it all together. So what you want to do is, maybe using a pair of tweezers, try, and this is actually the annoying part. My friend tells me he still has nightmares about it, and this was tough for me to figure out as well in the first time. So now that I know how to do it, it's a bit easier. So I just pulled the tab on the side, and now I'm gonna pull the cable using the tweezers, or if you can put your finger in there. Try and be gentle. Don't rush it. Take your time. Take your time to look inside and see how it's made. Make sure that you have removed the little security from there. And see, gently wiggle it around until it comes out. If you need to, you can slowly and gently pull on the board to try and get it in a better position. This is really the tough part of the install, and you have to be gentle because you may break some of it. There we go. So see, this is the cable that I just removed. It was plugged in here, so it'll be easier to see now. So this is the lock, and you'll have to pull on the sides of the lock to make it so that the ribbon can come off. So now that the hard part is done, well, not all of it, but this is the hardest part of the install, in my opinion, and it's kind of the reason, like I talked about it with my friend and we said, oh, we should make a tutorial. So I'm gonna set the main board on the audio board on the side. So this was the audio board, and I think also the CPU. So you want to remove this little ribbon cable, this one. And I guess if you're trying to repair this is the volume potentiometer, so it would just be 3 screws here, and this is the screen board, and as well 4 screws, and just remove the cable. I'm not going to touch any of these because I don't need them for the install, but it's pretty straightforward from then on. The hardest part is to get this cable out and put it back in later. So now we're going to take care of the main board, because that's behind the main board that the pads are. And the main board is connected to this board. This is the fader board. They are connected with a little ribbon that is soldered in. This is the only connection that I see in the build that can't be removed. So you do need to remove them together when you're doing the install. So you can start by removing all the screws from the fader board, and then from the main board. So make sure you don't miss any of the screws. By the way, those are the screws holding this little piece right here, the soft touch little thing. Those are the screws for the soft touch thing if you want to change it or whatever, or remove it for whatever reason. And you don't have to remove the rest of it, like you can take them out from the beginning without touching the rest of the circuit. So make sure you don't miss any of the screws. Once again, they are marked, so you remember those were the one holding the battery, and we'll keep them for the end. But otherwise, there's the rest of the screws. So I think that's it. That's the last one. So now you're gonna gently pull on the fader first, but only slightly. It's held with a little pin to keep it straight, and then you can take out the main board. So this is the main board. It's got the sensors for the pads on it. This is actually separate, so this is a little film. I'm not going to move it right now, but it might be stuck on the pads if you remove yours, and it's okay. I'm not going to move it because I had a problem on my first installation. This was slightly off, so this part with the black pads and the plastic, you can see the plastic all around. This is all a thin sheet of plastic, and it can move around, and if it's not properly centered, you might have some trouble with the pads. So what happened with me is I installed the pad, I was in a bit of a hurry putting it back together, and I wasn't careful about putting properly lined up, and when I turned on, some of the pad wouldn't respond correctly, so I had to do it all over again, and it was a pain. But then it got me thinking, might as well do it a third time to show the other people and help fully. So if you need to repair some of the buttons, might happen in the future, I guess you can just push on them. I'm not going to try that. I feel like they're slightly clips, and this is not the point of the install. But basically, once you're there, you can just remove the pad board. So mine is already switched, so I'm just going to put it back in. But if it's the original one, it's exact same. So those slots, the tiny little rectangles, they go on the bottom. So you can just put your new pads in there. Try to get them aligned properly, and then make sure that all the little pins are right in the set in the little holes for these. and this is well set in the bottom, like it doesn't move around, and it needs to be properly set before you put the board back in. So now that you've put your new pads, you can switch to putting the board back in. So if this, actually I'm going to show you. So what happened with me on the first install, this was not straight, so I had to put it back. It was slightly off, and instead of keeping it like, instead of trying to put it here, what I did, well, I did it the first time, but I wasn't careful about it. So first make sure like all is set, all the pads are properly seated and not moving. There's no room between the pads and the case. And then you're gonna wanna put this and line it up with the screw up there and with the screw at the bottom. And there's actually, you can see here, like you have to line up the little holes. Make sure it's all set in the right place, because if it's not, you're gonna have some trouble and have to do it all over again. So once this is done, you're gonna carefully take your main board and put it back in, lifting up those little ribbon cables. So the trick is to try and have it set properly so that once it goes down, it doesn't move around. So there we go. This should be nice. I hope I don't have to open it a fourth time. But anyways, so once your main board is set, you can start and putting back the screws. I would recommend starting with the middle ones, just because they're the one holding the pads and the film that has the sensitive pressure zones on it. So I'm gonna start with these two. Then you need to put all the screws where there are little screws icons. So as you may remember, we have only these 4 screws we're going to keep for later because they're the ones holding the battery, and we're going to put it last. So bear in mind, I'm not a professional, I'm just sharing my experience. Of course, you need to be careful while doing this. If you don't feel confident doing this, don't try, and ask a professional or someone that's more confident about doing this kind of work. Obviously, I can't be held responsible if you have any trouble with your unit, but I don't mind answering questions if you've got any and trying to help as much as I can. And as I was talking, I put a screw that I had to keep for later. Putting back the screws for the fader board, make sure that it's well settled first. With there's some guiding pins that needs to be in the right spot. You don't want to force putting any of these screws, any of the screws at all. You don't want to force, like once you reach the end, you just set it. It doesn't need to be torqued to crazy specs, just snug, you know. So I think we're done. I'm going to check that all my screws are well set, and we can carry on with the install. So now you're going to want to put back the little ribbon cables, so you can do it with your fingers or with the help of tweezers if it helps. Again, try not to use sharp tweezers because it might damage the cables. You can push, and you can see on all the cables there is a little black line that's going to kind of show you like if it's set, if it's far enough. Like this is not far enough, and now it is. Now it is. So make sure the black lines are next to the connection and not too far away. Okay, so now the fun part. Well, not the not fun part. So what you'll want to do is have this ribbon cable coming in here, this little connector. So check that once again, this is well set, and it's going to be hard to show on the film, on the video, because I'm obviously doing it and I don't have free hands to film but I'm gonna try to show you nonetheless. So first try and set it, and you can kind of move it away like this, and then I'm gonna go with the tweezers for this. Yeah, this is the tough part about the install. So if you need to, you can try and get some length from here. But there's not much to play with. I'm actually gonna remove this and try and put it like this. This was the really hard part for me, and the struggle was there. Oof. So take your time, don't rush anything, don't force anything, and eventually you'll get there. So you can try and use some tweezers to help you out. I think I prefer doing it with my fingers. I don't know, yeah, it doesn't show on the video, but basically that's what you want to be, that's where you want to be. If you need to, you can use whatever you got laying in there to just find a comfortable spot for you to do it. Take your time, don't rush anything. I'm gonna move the light a bit. Okay, so I think I've got it. Now I need to push back the locking pin. Oh no, it's not in there. Man, this is a hustle. This is definitely the hard part of the hardest part of the install. So if you don't feel confident doing it, once again, try and find a professional. So now the cable is in there, but I still need to push the pin. So very carefully, I'm gonna bend my tweezers a bit so they're just the right shape, and try to push on both sides at the same time if you can. If you can, just push slightly on one side, slightly on the other, and that's it. So now the ribbon is set, so I'm gonna try not to pull on it. And for the board to go back in, it has to be kind of straight, otherwise you're gonna have some problems here with the audio inputs and outputs. So there we go, now it is set. I just need to reconnect these two ribbons, screw the rest, but the hard part is done. So I'm gonna start with the big one from the bottom. So the same as before, you just put it in there, make sure that this is open and locked, and it should just slide in. If you need to, you can get the help with the tweezers. Once again, take your time, there's no rush, just don't break anything, don't force anything. So now that it's set, I'm gonna lock it down. So this one is locked, I still need to put in this one. There we go. Remember to lock your pins once you put back the ribbon. This one was locked from before. And don't forget to put back the connection for the speaker. Otherwise, you might turn off your unit and realize there is no sound. Ask me how I know that. So now that you're done, you're gonna wanna put back the screws from the main board, for the PCB board. So again, this is all the spots with the little screw on the side. It's pretty straightforward. It's actually well made from Akai. They had the repair in mind, apparently, when they made this. Because this one is gonna be for the back plate screws. So those holes are for the back plate screws. I think I've still, this one remains. So finally, you can grab back your battery and and put it back in place. So it's pretty easy, you can't really mess this up. There's the cable here, so that's how it goes. I would recommend, because it kind of moves around, just set a few of the screws, but don't tighten them all the way. And then once you've set them all up, you can tighten them. Of course, make sure that the connection of the ribbon under the battery is properly set before you put back the battery. So that's it for the battery. All screws are tightened. So check that you've got all your connections right. And if so, you can then plug back the battery and get on to putting back the back cover on. So make sure the battery is well set. You might use a tool such as this one, or just your fingernails if you got some, like me. So this seems good. This is all right. Checked everything. Now we can get to putting back that back cover on. Oh shit! I actually forgot a screw. So see, you're never too careful. And I can't see where it goes. Of course. This one here. So yeah, do make sure you've got all the screws back in, and you should have these places for the back cover. So putting back the back cover on is pretty straightforward. Make sure you put it on the good side. So this is up, and starting from the top, line it up and gently press it until it clicks. You might want to find a bit of an angle here and make sure it's lined up, and don't try to force it. When you find the right place, it will come into place. So I might actually start from the yeah, I'm gonna start from the bottom. So there we go. That's it. Check all around. You should have no gap between the top and bottom cover. This is all good for me, so I'm gonna put the screws back in. Actually, now might be a good time for you to check that the MPC is working. I'm putting back the screws because I'm pretty confident, but I'm still gonna turn it on before I put back the potentiometer caps, just in case, because if you mess something up, then you're gonna have to open it all over again. There's this left to do, so let's go. And here we go, it's putting up nice and smooth. Take this time to put back the little nut that goes on there for the encoder wheel. Slightly nugget. I don't have the, I'm gonna put back my micro SD and load the project so I can check all my, so this is working fine. I'm gonna go in my project and just load a random one so I can check all the pads are working properly. It should be alright. So you want to check all the pads. One sign that you might have messed up with the little film I was talking about earlier is when you turn it on, one of the pads stays on constantly, as in you stop pressing it but it's still lit up. This doesn't seem to be the case. So, and then you want to try some really smooth light taps and hard taps to make sure the pad's working fine. Mine, when it wasn't properly installed, it would work with really light taps, but not with hard ones, so it was a bit weird, and not on all the pads, so just make sure everything is working properly, and then you can get to installing back the rest of the hardware. And that's about it for today. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoy. If you have any question, don't hesitate to let me know in the comments, or just drop a like. If it was helpful, you can tell in the comments as well. So this is good for me. And yeah, enjoy your MPC and have fun with it. Make some nice beats. So if you're running some custom knobs, this one I really like, but when you set it, obviously it's not meant to be there. So those ones I put the screw on this side because it doesn't really matter, they don't have a pointer. But this one, the screw is on the opposite of the pointer, so I'll have to put it this way with the screw coming here. And what I like to do is I'll use a little piece of cardboard just so it doesn't rub on the screen, and with the time make some marks. So you can use whatever you want. Just I'm gonna use this little bit of pepper, like this. Put one on each side, so I can press down. Screw it on, and now it's nice and not rubbing. Oh, actually it is rubbing a bit, see? So same process. Not press as much down as we did before. Just hold it snug. And it's nice. Okay, like this should do. Nice. You'll feel it if it rubs. So thanks for watching and goodbye.